I want to add to a message that God gave about David and how he came into his kingship and the trajectory, the pathway. Not that dissimilar than the message of Joseph, how he became nearly as second in charge of the greatest empire in the world during that era, Egypt. After being mocked by his brothers, the youngest of his brothers, thrown in a pit, first attempted murder by his brothers, instead left abandoned, then eventually sold into slavery, then falsely accused of a sexual impropriety, jailed, imprisoned. All of these things happened. Who could have imagined how God would bring men and to their destiny? The problem with so much of Western Bible reading is that you see life through the pages of canonical scripture, but not through the history that it's referring to. It's in a very condensed, ideologically literary script. Inorganic words, talking about something organic that's more than words. Life. So many of you know how to quote a verse and read a chapter, but you don't know what's in between those verses and in between the chapters. You forget. It's a microcosm, what you're reading. And somehow or another, you take your life and you condense it in a verse or a chapter, while the very verse and chapters you're reading are not condensed concepts. They are very small pieces, fragments of life, real lives. You communicate even in life with each other in fragments. But what about all the space in between? Every second was not recorded, obviously. Even from what you were reading, you're not getting a second by second play. There's a lot that happens in between sentences, sometimes in between words. The real energy, they call it dark matter, dark energy, it's what's in between those atoms. The energy in between them. The stuff you cannot see. The stuff that causes them to be in proximity. That matter matters. And when you're living life in real time, you're experiencing all of that space. It wasn't, I'm going to be king, and all of a sudden there's a crown on my head. I'm going to be a father, and all of a sudden there is an instant family and an instant wife and an instant toddler. It doesn't work that way. There is no instant. There are progressions. And the crust of what we do get growing up is just enough to keep us growing. The parents don't sit you down and give you a play-by-play on every second, millisecond of life. They give you concepts. They understand that there is a matter in between that has to happen organically. There are things that have to happen organically. There's unknown variables and variations that have to occur that's a part of your development. Time and space in between the space. You're not a verse and you're not a chapter. And you're not a book. You're a human. part matter and part spiritual, divine in its deepest origin and its nature, housed in a tabernacle that walks through gravity, chained and shackled by your mortality within a certain time limitation. You're reading and you're forgetting. These are human beings with life and space and time. There are things you are missing because it's space that cannot be written. It can only be experienced. Like you with your child, or your sickness or disease. Your life is being lived in real time. You are not a chapter and you're not a verse. God is not a chapter, he is not a verse. And these little things that we get in life, these little cookies, tidbits, are to aid and abate us, assist us. The nook and the crannies of life. They help us with the broader understanding of applying these principles. You'll be getting these little cookies from Papa, these little crumbs to the day you leave this physical body. But it's in between the space, in between the chapters and the verses. That is where you live out your faith, your trust, your hope, and your joy, your relationships. And why so many of you are so uncomfortable with that has got to be pride, ego, and control. You come to God with this incessant desire to want to control. How can you? You can't put a genie back in the bottle. You think you can contain God in a book, in a verse, in a chapter? And in your mind? Please, brothers, think. Use your mind and think, not your ego, not your pride, not that sinful mind that's been warped by all kinds of things in your past that have distorted your ability to have clarity. Humble yourself. Humble yourself and stop being afraid to let go and say, I don't know, but I trust and I will trust. Humble yourself. He is a father, not a college professor, not a prison warden. And he loves you. Enjoy your position. There's great joy in it. To be loved, to be the child. Enjoy the relationship. Stop demanding it. Enjoy it. Rest and reflect. And take every moment and celebrate it. A ladder with one step wouldn't really be a ladder. You can't get to the top of the roof with one step. But the ladder with all of its steps, each step makes the ladder. And no step alone can boast that it is the ladder. But it's the unity and the bond of peace of each step working collectively like a beach. One grain of sand, how small, infinitesimal it is. Yet without that grain of sand, you wouldn't have a beach. Because the beach is composed of all little tiny specks of sand, just like that one little tiny speck underneath your fingernail that's hardly even noticeable. But together with all the other billions and trillions of specks makes the beach, so no one speck is insignificant. Without it, it's not a beach. One step, one time. God is in between the spaces. He's not just the scripture you read or the verse. He's beyond that, what's seen in the observable universe of your mind and of your liturgy and what you have already understood or comprehended. Enjoy each moment and let it be that moment where that particular piece of God is seen and celebrated and glorified as God. There are many more pieces to go. Enjoy the journey.